Hi, I'm Nick and I want to introduce you to the exercises in Gong UNCUT. And to do that I'm going to introduce myself and my story about Qigong. We've all got stories. As you can see, obviously I'm skinny. I always was skinny. When I was a child I was skinny and sort of anemic and pale, and I never really felt comfortable with my body. Even as a young teenager I'd get piles and stuff like that. I was, suffer from bad health, and so I'm not your usual like really healthy get fit man. I've got a story. Anyway, my story is exasperated because when I was about 14 I fell out of a tree. Landed on the ground, probably didn't bend my knees properly, went to get up, couldn't get up. I was like this. And I had to get home, like Quasimodo. And I got home, I said, Mum, I've hurt myself. And my mum said, well look, go to bed. If you're not better in the morning, go to the doctor's. So, got up in the morning and my mum took me to the doctor's. The doctor looked at me back, he said, oh, you've buckled one of your vertebrae, one of your lower discs. He said, look, reach up and grab the door. So I kind of reached up and I grabbed the door. He said, now pull yourself up slowly. And I pulled myself up slowly and I straightened me back and he said, right, now let yourself go down slowly. I let myself go down slowly and hey presto, I had a straight back. Back to where I was, 14-year-old skinny kid who's basically just wanted a girlfriend. Anyway, and so that was fine until I reached my mid-20s, and then I started to get sciatica, and the first time I got sciatica was as bad as the first time I fell down. I was like this, couldn't hardly walk, a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, and I went to the doctors. They booked me up with a physio, gave me pills and stuff, and anyway, eventually it went. That bout of sciatica went, and but it came back. Despite the physio exercises, I'd kind of quite often get sciatica, and through sciatica I got introduced to yoga. Now, yoga is a brilliant thing because it gets you in tune with yourself, and that's an important thing. And it did help me a little bit. But I think yoga does help you because it increases your awareness of self, and you get more in tune with yourself, and you get to know what's good for you and what isn't good for you. But I'd still get sciatica, and then when I was 30, fate found me in Taiwan. And if you know Taiwan, it's a Chinese culture. For those of you who don't know Taiwan, Taiwan is Chinese. In fact, it's more Chinese than mainland China is, because when Chairman Mao had his revolution, all the people with all the money, they all fled to Taiwan, and they carried on their Chinese culture when over on the mainland Mao was sort of shooting everybody that are making any sort of cultural or religious things illegal. In the Chinese culture they do Tai Chi and Qigong, and they do it early morning in the parks. And staggering back from my nights out of debauchery, I'd come across these parks full of these people doing these really crazy exercises, and because I'd done yoga and had an interest in health by that time, I was intrigued, and I spent the next 10 years in Taiwan studying Qigong and Tai Chi. When I left Taiwan, I knew various routines of exercises and a couple of forms of Tai Chi, and I'd still get sciatica, just little bouts of sciatica, but when it was bad, it was bad. And probably the worst thing about getting sciatica at those times were it would stop me exercising, and even my back would get better, but it would take me a while to get that sort of willpower to start that regular exercise again, because that's probably the hardest thing about exercise, is finding that resolve within you to do those exercises. So what would happen is I'd get a bout of sciatica, and then it would probably take me about 3 months before I'd start exercising again. But anyway, that was how life carried on. So I was doing, sort of getting on all right, doing me sort of routines that I'd learned of different Qigong exercises. I come back to England when I was 40, and I'd have my regular routines that I'd work out on, and I would still get the odd bout of sciatica, but it wasn't too bad. I wouldn't get as bad as I used to be until I reached my mid-50s. Now suddenly I started to get sciatica, and then I'd get better, and then I'd get sciatica. And one of the biggest problems about getting sciatica, and also doing exercises in general, is it stops you exercising. You can't exercise, and then it's hard to get the will and the determination to start exercising again. And if I don't exercise, then I find my health goes down. So I was sort of getting in this cycle of sort of like, I'd get sciatica, start exercising, get sciatica, and then I sort of had to come to the conclusion that my exercise routines were not helping my sciatica. In fact, they were probably aggravating my sciatica. And as you know, a lot of Qigong is, sort of like, it's bending and twisting, and I just felt that was really aggravating my spine. And so I stopped. But I didn't want to stop exercising because, as I said, my health really degenerates when I stop exercising. And then I got into my late 50s, sort of more middle 50s, about, how old am I now? I'm 59 now, nearly 60. So yeah, my late 50s, 56, 57, and I started to get very regular bouts of sciatica. It was like, I get sciatica, I get better again, start my routine, get sciatica again. And I had to basically be honest with myself that my Qigong routine wasn't helping my sciatica. In fact, it was probably aggravating my sciatica, because as you know, a lot of Qigong is bending and twisting and all that sorts of things, and of course my lower vertebrae was taking a bit of a beating. So I knew I had to stop exercising, but I didn't want to stop exercising, because once I stop exercising, my health level and goes down, my fitness level goes down, and I enjoy being a little bit of a dynamo that I've become, because doing Qigong really helped me feel a lot better within myself and my body, and made me a lot healthier. And if I didn't do it, then I would lose my health. So I was a bit in that dichotomy, carry on doing Qigong and hurting my back, or not doing Qigong and letting my health go down. So I pulled together 4 exercises that didn't require any back bending or back twisting. So it shouldn't create any pressure on the spine at all. It wouldn't create any pressure on the spine at all. The first exercise is Earth Meets Sky, and that's basically a Taoist exercise, which I gleaned from the Taoist community. And it's a very gentle, soft Taoist exercise, and it's what a lot of the Taoist monks use in the morning when they get up. It's basically, you go down and you go up, Earth meets the sky, and it's very adaptable. You can adapt it to suit yourself. It's a beautiful exercise. Second exercise is called Raising the Dragon, which brings the energy up from the dantian and presses into the heart and lungs, which basically strengthens our lung capacity and our heart, basically making you stronger and also straightening out your spine at the same time. The third exercise is pushing 20 oxen, which is an exercise a good friend of mine, Dr. John, who's runs a Chinese medicine shop in Bournemouth, but he used to teach Chinese medicine in Beijing. He showed me brilliant fun exercise, and they're basically in this routine they're used as a warm-up to the fourth exercise, and the fourth exercise is an exercise called cleaning the cells, which is quite a strenuous exercise and not that comfortable to do, but it has very dynamic effects. And I've really pulled this together more out of rumours of what I'd heard in conversations with teachers and masters and different communities. Now, it was the fourth exercise that really had a radical impact on my life, and I'll tell you why. Because going back to my weight, okay, when I started this routine, I weighed 50 kilos. Now, skinny people are like fat people. You know, if you're fat when you're a kid, you know, most likely you're going to get fatter as you get older. And skinny people are the same. You know, we're skinny as we grow up, and then we get skinnier. And I'd kind of reached my optimum weight when I was about late teens, early 20s, and I weighed 55 kilos. And then when I'd reached my 40s, I was down to 53 kilos. And at this time, when I started the exercises, I weighed 50 kilos. So I start doing this exercise routine, this new exercise routine, and I'm having a shave in the mirror one morning, and I'm thinking, ooh, my face looks a little bit fatter, you know. And so I weighed myself, and I'd gone up 2 kilos. I thought, ooh, 2 kilos. 2 kilos is a lot to me. When you're 50 kilos, 2 kilos is a lot to you. And so I kept looking at my weight, and I was putting on like half a kilo every 2 weeks. Okay, and I went up to 55 kilos, and I went up to 55 kilos, and then my weight my weight gain leveled out, and at that time I had a little break from my exercises as well, because I got involved in, it was some political campaigning actually, and then when that finished, I got into moving house. I didn't have to move out because of my political campaigning, but anyway, so I had about 6 months, I suppose, not doing any exercise, and I got back into my routine again. And this time I didn't do clean the cells exercises. I told myself I wasn't going to do it because I wanted to isolate the exercise that was making me put on weight, because I wasn't quite sure if it was that exercise that was making me put on weight. But I think the truth is I didn't actually like doing that exercise because it was quite an uncomfortable exercise. Anyway, I started doing a routine of exercise again, and I didn't put on any weight. And then I started to incorporate the cleaning the cells exercise, and just like before, I'd put on half a kilo every 2 weeks. And this went on till I was 55 kilos again. And so I thought, I'm just going to carry on doing this exercise now. About 4 months into the exercise, something else happened. I bent down. I was in front of a table, and there was a newspaper on the table, and I bent down and looked at it, and I started reading the newspaper, and as one does. And then I thought, hey, I'm reading a newspaper. I haven't been able to read the newspaper without glasses since I was about 40, you know, because a lot of us men, so we have a bit of slight deterioration, you know, in our 40s, and we need to wear glasses because we get a little bit short-sighted. They say it makes us blind. Anyway, so I thought, well, this is weird, you know, I can, my sight wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better, and I could only bring it down to that exercise. And I thought, wow, how's this happening? But as you'll find out during the exercise, you are actually sort of, you know, you are exercising every muscle and thing in your body. And I could only sort of think that exercise was help sort of tone up my eye muscles a little bit, enough to improve my eyesight. So I had this sight improvement, and you know, those long hairs come from our old man's eyebrows that just suddenly appear. You might know, you might not. You know, when you get to our age, you know, you get, especially the men, we get these big fat eyebrows start shooting out, and you think, where the hell did that come from? That wasn't there yesterday. And you keep trimming them and that. But they stopped coming up as well. My bowel movement, just really improved. Like I could just push one out easily, And there was some other improvements as well that I probably shouldn't get into before the 9 o'clock watershed. Some other things started that I don't want to talk about on camera, but you'll know what I mean, men's age thing, when you wake up in the morning. So, this exercise helped me. Basically, it made me feel a lot younger, and it was basically not reversing the age. Well, it was actually, in some ways, I felt that the aging program had been reversed a little bit. Like I'd get an erection more often in the morning, which is quite unusual, for a guy that's 60. So it's little things like that, my eyesight improving, I was also actually, I developed some sort of age marks, on my skin, like dark freckles, but big ones, and they started to disperse as well and go back to normal skin. It's just sort of too weird. Another thing as well that I noticed is that before I've been doing these quite complicated routines where I'll be doing all this body twisting and bending, and so my body was always quite supple, because that's what it does. But in these exercises, I wasn't moving my body, but my body was just as supple. I can go way right back, right down and forwards, and I can twist about, but I don't do any of that in my exercise. But it still makes me supple. It also had another effect on me. It did both times. It really altered my sleep pattern. Before I was sort of like pretty much a 6 hour night sleep. I'd go to sleep, never had a problem going to sleep, but once I woke up, I had to get out of bed. I mean, I couldn't lie in bed. You people who lie in bed, 8 hours, 10 hours, some of you. I think, how can they do that? So I'd wake up and I was just too uncomfortable to stay in bed. I got to get out of bed. But once I started doing that exercise, I started feeling nice in bed, and I'd wake up and I think, this is nice. I think I'm going to go back to sleep. So that was another effect it had on me. The point I'm trying to make is you don't need a really complex array of exercises. You just need to do 4 very good exercises, and they will increase your health in a much more profound way than a whole array of soft exercises. The last thing I also want to make clear is there's more people overweight than underweight, okay? And I don't want people being put off this exercise thinking they're going to put on weight. It won't happen, because I've shown this exercises to friends of mine. They've tried it and they've lost weight. So we're not putting on weight, we're just sort of like re-kicking the metabolism. We're rebalancing ourselves, we're cleaning out a lot of dirt from ourselves, and we're getting more healthy. And your system, your digestive system, which is basically what keeps you going, operates at a higher optimum. Okay, so I hope you watch these videos, if you these videos of the routines, and that you follow the routines. Give them a try. Remember, do the warm-up exercises. Follow the routine, because, as I say, the cleansing of the cell exercise you do have to exert your body, and you don't want to do it with a cold body. Warm up your body. Okay, thanks for listening. I hope you see the rest of the videos. We've all got stories.